Hello, I'm Kendra, and this is Hooked by Happenstance, Makes Monday, episode number 41, Joy. So today's word of the week is joy. Sometimes when I'm looking for the words, I find the words, and sometimes the words find me. So I was sifting through in my way that I do, looking for this week's word, and I found a different word. A word which might come up actually as our word of the week in a week or two, hopefully. But when I was thinking about what would lead me to this word, which we'll talk about later, I came upon the idea of joy. And I was like, what does joy definitionally mean? It's a word we say a lot. Do you know what it means? Okay, according to Merriam-Webster, joy is, by definition, the emotion evoked by well-being, success, or good fortune, or by the prospect of possessing what one desires, delight. And B, the expression or exhibition of such emotion, as in gaiety. The second definition is a state of happiness or felicity, bliss. And the third definition is a source or cause of delight. So I think that that's very important when we think about our crafting. The things that you make should bring you joy. They should give you those feelings of happiness and felicity. They should be a source of delight. But it doesn't always mean that they are making you happy in the moment, right? Then interesting that the definition talks about the emotion evoked by well-being. So maybe working on your crafting brings you joy because it helps calm your mind down. Maybe it makes you feel better. People that like to do charitable crafting, not my bag, but I know it is for a lot of you, that it gives you a sense of well-being, that you're doing something for some greater good. Maybe it makes you feel successful. Are you making things for sale? And so by being able to sell things and bring home some money, that gives you a sense of personal accomplishment. Or frankly, it's just nice to be clip that end and weave in and be done. And it's yay, I did a thing. Because some days just doing a thing is what we need. And then the part I thought was most interesting was the part that talks about the prospect of possessing what one desires. So a lot of the joy in crafting, I think, comes from the potential. I think that's where the idea of cast-on-itis comes from. You want to start all the things, and when I feel like that, usually I just like the feeling of you haven't messed any of it up yet. When you're neck deep in a number of projects, there's likely mistakes or problems or things that have required either perseverance or resolution somewhere along the way in a lot of those things. And so that prospect of joy and happiness is missing at some point. But when you start things, it's new and fresh and wonderful. Now, you would think from that means that I started something new this week. I have started nothing new. But I am trying to find the joy in lots of things in life, crafting and crocheting included. So I think it's important just to kind of think about that and think about what you're working on and when you're working on it and finding the joy in what you're doing. So maybe that joy is looking for that future success, that future sense of well-being, as opposed to focusing on how you feel in the exact moment. Because sometimes the exact moment is not going to bring those feelings about. So I'm focusing on current and future joy in all the things. I'm going to try and go forward this week and think about that a bit more. So, would you like to see what is on my hook and hopefully bringing me joy, even if it's only joy in the fact that someday I will be done with the projects? Okay, let's look at what I've been working on. The first thing that I worked on this week, we'll start over here, is my Granny Virus shawl. This is currently the, dropping my hook. Where'd it go? If I lose it. Oh, I'm real bad at remembering to pick them up if I don't do it right away. Anyways, this is currently my take around project because it is the thing that I'm working on that best fits in a small project bag. So, it's the thing I've been working on in the car and such. Here we have it currently. And as my experience with the last virus shawl that I made, and granny things that I've made, once I am done with it and wash it, it'll all block out nice and flat, but because it has loopy doodles, as I like to call them, the like loops with then stitching in them, it sometimes gets a little like, I don't know, crunchy looking while you're working on it, but then once everything airs out, it's fine. So this is a pattern that I found on Ravelry. If you search for Granny Virus, it will show you. But like I talked about last week, I'm not super happy with the pattern. If you know the virus shawl pattern, or just look up the virus shawl chart and look at the virus granny, you can see where they put the granny pieces into it. Then I would just kind of figure it out yourself. That's what I found most easy, but that is just me. So this is made out of the gold is Red Heart Super Saver in the color gold. And I do not know what this variegated is. I had 2 skeins of it that had been gifted to me. So, I don't know. They didn't have labels when they came from the Yarn Fairy, so they're just pretty. And I'm using a size I 5.5mm hook to stitch it up. I'm just planning to keep going until I run out of the variegated, I think. Which means I think I have one more variegated segment for sure, and then maybe an edging. But we'll see. Sometimes the yarn goes further than I expect. So that's just happening, and it's pleasant enough. Like I said, I sometimes have issues with both the granny stitch and the virus stitch. They both kind of can get me a little like wound up. But it hasn't been too bad, especially since I've been doing it in smaller segments when I'm places where I don't know, I'm probably already wound up anyways. It's been not too big a problem. So, worked on that. The other thing I have been working on is the Tides of Change by Frank O. Randall. This is my nephew's graduation afghan. It's a growing. I have a progress keeper in here somewhere. I believe I was like where the light gray is, starting the week off. There's a couple rounds of the light gray and then the black, and then working into the third color, which is the darkish, the navy blue, I guess, because then the next will be the royal blue, then dark gray. So I'm about halfway through a color repeat. But the rounds are getting really, really big. Like where if I sit down to work on this, I will spend like a good period of time like watching a show or something and not even finish a round, or just only finish one. Especially in this section, we're into a dense section where it's like stitching in every stitch. There is some lacier stuff coming, and I think that should chug along a lot faster. I think I'm in the mid-50s as far as row count right now. And there's 79 rows total. So I have not actually made a very big percentage. I haven't moved forward very far percentage-wise, which, you know, for me is always kind of sad. But, oh, what did I get stuck in here? Oh, no. It looks like I'm going to have to clip something out. That's unfortunate. Oh, nope. Got it. Something random and sticky, maybe? I don't know. Anyways. Here it is. It is made out of 5 colors of Red Heart Soft in a variety of shades. And to pick the order of the shades, I put the yarn down in order and I snapped a picture with my phone. And then I grayscaled it so that I could put them in order from lightest to darkest in the picture, as opposed to doing like a color order. So it goes black, navy, royal blue, dark gray, light gray. And then it just progresses through that over and over and over. And I'm still very happy with this pattern, which is available for free on Ravelry, and it's good. Frank O. Randall also has a number of other mandala style blankets, so things that work in the round through multiple stitch patterns and multiple colors for sale. This, however, is the free one, which would definitely get you started, and I would recommend, if you're into this idea, make one of these. I will give you the caveat that there are, there's a lot of ends. And I have not been good about weaving them in because I just haven't felt like that was going to bring me joy. But I figure that it will bring me joy someday when I sit down and do a lot of them. I find that it is easiest to do my end weaving and stuff when I'm like on a VKN or like video chatting with somebody or something like that. Because it's then like mindless. But I can like fill time, but I have not been doing that, so I have not been weaving in the ends, but the time will come. The third thing that I have worked on, I picked up yesterday. I've been in the process of cleaning my office. I recognize I'm sitting in the middle of a heap, and it's just the way it is. I had somebody comment the other day that my office was as messy as theirs, and I'm going to assume they meant it as a compliment. Or, you know, it's that whole, like, it's just being real. Yeah, no, my stuff's just a mess, because it just, if you have the time to either craft or clean, I will always choose craft. Which, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but I'm trying to be a bit more, well, I'm trying to organize things right now, mostly because I'm trying to make space for more things to enter this, this room, but that is really neither here nor there. But I'm sitting in the middle of a heap, and in trying to organize and clean, because behind me it's a little less messy than it had been, and I've been trying to move things. And anyways, I unearthed my scrap stash blanket, and I had more yarn than comfortably would fit into its plastic container. So I am following the rule I had set for myself, which was that the yarn balls for this project needed to all live in there. I decided that I needed to immediately work on this to get that down so that I can then store it once more. So here is one strip that I completed. I had been right here. I had been on the white, and so I did all of this yesterday. And I have a few ends that I forgot to work over or something, but anyways, I need to weave those ends in. I've been trying to work over the ends so I don't have to weave them in, but sometimes I guess I forget, because it happened on each of these strips. So then this one I made completely yesterday. And these are just scraps from all sorts of things I've made recently and not recently that I've just, you know, found amongst my things. So I'll put those together. And then I also started working on this one last night. So I basically made like 2 whole strips yesterday. And I have, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. I have 10 done, and 2 more, 12. This is my 13th, and I think I need 16 to make the blanket I'm looking to make. So I am definitely chugging through, and this is the box I have left. So I don't know, I'll probably put some more work into this today just to clear up some of this space and to feel like I'm making progress on something, and then I will hopefully get this done eventually. Like, it's not like it's a real time crunch, but it still is something that's been hanging around for a while, and I like feeling like I'm using up these odds and ends. I'm not like going to huge lengths to use every titty bitty scrap I have or whatever. If anything, it's more of like a memory blanket, because I know what most of these yarns went into. I used to be much better about knowing what everything went into, but my brain's been a little fuzzy for the last like 3 or 4 months, and so if I think real hard, I can tell you what most of the things I've completed in that time where that yarn, you know, what the yarn coincides with, but a lot of it's a little fuzzy. I have to think about it a little harder than I do sometimes, but that is just the way it is. And I have some things off my hook. If you have not seen it yet, on Friday, I put up a Freaker Frog video where I considered my on the hook list. So my on the hook list is a place where I theoretically put everything that is on my hook. I know from my cleaning of things that I am missing some items up there, so I will need to add some. But anyways, when I considered the list, there were 15 little cards. I take half index cards, I write on them the name. I also write, like, if they're from a particular series of mine, like if it's a Freaker Frog thing, or a Let Peachlet pick, or whatever. And then I also write the date that it started. So, like, if it starts in April of 2018, I'll say /2018. Just so that if I decide that I want to go things from, like, oldest to newest, or just to know, you know how things can just very easily, you quit seeing them because they've been there so long. So some of the things end up on my list for a long period of time, and I quit noticing that they have been languishing. Excuse me. But having that like number there that I can reference really helps. And a lot of times I have also been trying to write on the back of it what hook size I use, because I can be really bad about forgetting. So that was weird. Multiple things in my room started making noise, like without my doing it. Like, the timer went off to tell me to reset the camera. I had set that up, but the dictionary page I had open on my computer started talking. Whatever. Anyways, I was saying that I keep the hook, or I've been trying to write the hook size on the back of the cards because I have one preferred set of hooks. I like my tulip hooks, but I only have, other than my J hook, I only have one in each size. So I use the same hooks for multiple projects, which means I'll take them out of the project bag. The project will get, you know, by the wayside. Then I pick it up and I'm like, oh, is this an H or an I? It looks like it could be an H or an I. So I've been trying to write that down more. I know lots of you are more organized than me, and you write the little cards and you put them in the bag, or you keep the things all together. It's just not my thing. It's not going to work for me. I know I'm going to get some comment of somebody telling me how to better organize my life. It's just not going to happen. I'm trying to find ways that make sense to my brain, but I am not going to. I don't like to make extra work for myself. Again, if it's between cleaning and crafting, I will always choose crafting. And to me, actually, the way I've done my on the hook list is kind of like a little craft in and of itself. It's like a little game, because then I get to pull the cards when I'm done, and I make a little stack, and then I have a little stack of cards, so I know when I sit to talk to you here, oh look, these are the cards I finished this week. It helps in my organizational process, and that is all that matters. So you all find what helps in your organizational process. The way that I do things might just drive you batty, but doing things other people's ways has the same effect to me. Anyways, I digress. I digress a lot, if you haven't noticed. But I went through my on the hook list, and there were 15 items. I got it down to 10. So there were 2 that I frogged, and there were 3 that I just backburnered, that I know that I would like to finish them ultimately, but there's either a yarn shortage to do it, or I'm not there right now, so I put those aside. So there are 10 things that I am actively working on. Well, I cut that 10 down by 2, so I took 20% off that list. That is an exciting amount to clear off in 1 week. Now, the things that I finished actually are both winter themed, I just noticed. And they were both really simple to finish. So the first thing I finished is this here, which is a snow person that I made. And I did the mathing myself, and he actually perfectly fits inside a wreath project that I'm working on. Yeah, so this is my little snow person for my wreath, and he perfectly fits the size that he needs to be to work with that project. And all he needed was his face. He has been sitting up on my shelf since January. I think I was working on him. Yes, I made him right before I went out to California at the beginning of January. So 4 months, 4.5 months, he has just sat there without his face. Sad little snow person. But now he has his face, and he is done and off my hook. The other thing that is off my hook is another thing that languished for a very long time, but this was languishing in my drawer. This is my pair of Santa britches, which this is actually a part of the Freaker Frog that I did a few weeks ago. These are 2 dishcloths that are sewed up in a particular striping pattern, and then you lay them out and sew them together, and you end up with these cutesy britches. There's a funny poem you can print off offline, and then you can give them as a gift, and it's like, look, here's Santa's britches. There's also, in this very same pattern set, there is a set to make elf britches, which basically just gives you patterning to do, like, striping in a certain way. That is adorable. I got the pattern for this from froggingalong.com. If you look up Christmas britches frogging along on Google, you will find this website, and they have other like recipes to make different holidays and things. But they also have they have a poem. I actually might tweak the poem a little because I think the rhyme scheme is a little forced, so I might just come up with something else. But basically it talks about how these are so-and-so's britches. All you have to do is undo the stitches, and then you can do your dishes. So that is the other thing off my hook. And that is everything I have completed this week. I am at the end of doing Veda, which is video every day in April, which in my case became Vedetta, video every day except for in April. So in a 30-day month, I put out 26 videos, right? Yes, 26 videos, which is a lot of videos. If you have not seen them all, there were some funny ones this week. My husband and I, my hubbenstance, as I like to call him, get it, happenstance, hubbenstance. It makes me quite happy. So, Steve and I sat down and we did an incredibly long, like a 40-minute Fiber Friends tag. So if you'd like to hear me talk about my crafting from his perspective, check that out. And I also, did I put out, I feel like I did another yarn flash my stash this week, but maybe I didn't. There will be more of that coming as I have much more stash to flash that has not happened yet. And I did also put an update in my Etsy shop this week. That is what took a bunch of my time and energy, was a lot of sewing instead of a lot of crocheting. But some weeks, that's what you do. Okie dokie, this week I'd like you all to focus on the joy in your life. That's what I intend to do, and try and find the joy in whatever form it takes in all the things that you do, crafty and otherwise. And I will see you all next time. Bye!